a new home for a while. Let me feel alive.
Okay, so I'm so glad that you came on here. Thank you for figuring all that out and taking time out of your day. So I had connected with you on Instagram, right? And
Yes.
I have just felt so inspired by you building this team, this successful team, all women. And it looks like you have a lot of fun with it. And we had actually spoke before I started a team because I was like, I need some advice. I need some insight and all the things. And I learned so much from you. I thought it was such a great conversation. So that's why I wanted you to be able to speak to all of us. So if you guys have any questions, please ask or post them in the chat and we'll go over them. But first, why don't you just do like a quick little intro and let everybody know all the things.
All right. So I am Bobbie Lane. I have a team of 15. So I've got 11 licensed agents and then 4 staff. So been licensed 6 years. I've had a team for about 3. Our team has doubled in size every year. So we keep bringing on agents, and as I grow, my team grows. And so my first hire was actually a licensed agent. She was a friend of mine. And so she came to me and basically said, like, will you start a team? And so that's kind of all where it began. My business, I do about 20 million in production. So around 100 units in Wichita, Kansas. And then my team does another about 20 to 25. So we're doing about 50 million in production and usually helping about 200 families a year.
That's amazing. And tell everybody how old you are, if you don't mind.
Yes, I'm 27.
That is so young. Oh my, that is amazing. I feel like that would be so inspiring for other people to hear.
Yeah. So I started when I was 21, and this is definitely the career that I'll be doing forever. So I love what I do.
Oh, that's so amazing. So you initially started a team because your friend had reached out to you, right? You said,
yeah.
So I was listening to this podcast yesterday, and one of the questions that was asked was, how do you know when to start a team? And do you have any insight on that maybe? So
I really think it depends what you're classifying as a team. So whether you're talking about support for you, that's honestly, like, I did it backwards. Like, I had a licensed agent start with me, and then I just kind of mentored her and took her under my wing, taught her everything I knew. But also starting a team means the support. So the support for you and your business. And I think that is most crucial for a lot of agents, is hiring their transaction coordinator, their showing agent, their assistant, and then the agents can come along with that. So that really is going to be capacity. When you're no longer able to handle the client experience of what you expect, or you get to the point where you're like, I'm overwhelmed. That's at about 10 to 13 million is when I'm like, all right, and that's usually 10 deals going at a time, because our price point is just lower. Our average sale price is still around the 140s. Mine is sitting at like 200. So that for me is capacity. So otherwise I'm like, I'm going to forget something. So my aha was, I almost forgot to send out a repair request because I was just too busy. And that, like, the next week I hired somebody. And so for me, that's when I saw the value of, I don't want to miss something, because if I miss something, it's going to be really costly to me. And so, and to my business. So capacity is the biggest thing when you're talking about support staff. I've found that my agents are usually about 5 to 8 million is when they have to get a transaction coordinator to kind of help with the paperwork and help with some showings. And for me, now that I have so many clients that I'm working with, I have actually 2 showing agents, an assistant, and then a transaction coordinator that handles all of my files. So that's really going to be dependent on you as a person, of what you can handle and what you feel comfortable with. There's some agents that they could probably do 20 and be totally fine, while there's others that might only be able to do 2 million.
Yeah, everybody's like, so different.
Yes.
And especially the team leads that I've spoken to, everybody runs their business so differently. And, each one of us, as a solo agent, like you said about different workloads, like some people have a lot other things going on in their lives, so they might not be able to do as much. So that's kind of where it's case by case. For me, I started out, by myself. I did my transactions by myself for a while. Then I got the transaction coordinator, which was just, even that was such a game changer and relieved so much time for me, not having to worry about all the paperwork aspect of it and all the timeline. So if anyone's like on the fence about it, do it, because it's not an income producing activity. And it's like, that 400, I pay $450 per transaction, and she only gets paid if we go to closing. To me, I'm like, I am putting the cost on the buyer and the seller, so most of the time I'm not paying for it. And then I ended up getting the showing assistant, had that for a couple years, and then this year I was like, all right, I don't want to work with buyers anymore. I want to focus on listings. And so that's where the buyer's agent came in. And I was dropping the ball. It was like the demand with showings right now in this market is absolutely insane. Having to get out to the property immediately, then having to go somewhere to write up the offer immediately. And it was just, when you're dealing with 10 buyers and they're all ready to buy, it's like, it was so hard and I was miserable. So it was like, all right, this is where I'm ready to bring somebody on. So I think it's kind of like trying to decide when that point is for you. So like, it's case by case. How do you find talent?
For me, it's basically my social media. Everyone sees how much like I love my team and we love working together. And so it just organically happens for me. A lot of my agents, they recruit to my team. I don't. And that's because they love being there. A lot of my seasoned agents have worked with other teams or other brokerages, and they want to be on the team. And so they tell their friends about it, and then they reach out, and then, okay, well, now we have another agent that's joining the team. The biggest thing for me is I just make sure that they're a good fit. All of my girls have differences of ideas in production. Like I have one that she's a mom. She just wants to learn the business, grow it right now. But her full-time thing is she's a parent. And so she has always said, like, I don't want to have more than 2 or 3 deals going at a time, because her focus is her girls. So I think as a team lead, I am not one that pushes production, but I am going to keep you accountable to where your goals are. So if you're not on track with your goals and you're not doing the lead generation activities, then we're having conversations. But it's not like I'm, so-and-so was the lowest on the totem pole this month. They don't have any closing deals. Like that's not how we do things. And it's not a cutthroat environment, because I want it to be healthy and comforting, where if they don't have deals going, it's not like, why don't you? It's like, okay, how can we help you get some production going?
So in situations where you've had to have conversations with people like, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? And has there ever been a time where you didn't see improvement and you were like, well, what do I do now? Do I keep them on the team? Do they leave? What does that look like?
No, not for me. I have had one agent leave the business that it wasn't working. She had the stress of having to make a paycheck. And I think that is the key, is if you have the stress of, if I don't have this deal closed, I can't feed my family. That is a type of stress. Some people thrive off of that, and other people, it will set them up for failure. Again, that's a personality thing. And for her, it just wasn't working. It was the stress of, I have to feed my family. And this is a career we all know is a roller coaster when you get started. And so she kind of just phased herself out, like, because we're talking about production regularly. And so it's like, is this a good fit? And so we're talking about that pretty consistently with my new agents from the beginning. It's more of a culture fit. That's going to see where you have your fallout, because I can teach all the tools of what I have done to grow a successful business. And if they adapt those and they do the activities, they're going to be successful.
Yeah, I've already had that happen with an agent, that it wasn't a good culture fit. And I just didn't even, it was so toxic. It was toxic for everybody.
Yeah.
She was always complaining, and she was,
Gotta go.
yeah, she was an agent from another brokerage, another team. So she really spoke as like a know-it-all all the time. And I was just like, this isn't working out.
No.
And so like, and then it was like,
I am younger. And so, but I have sold a lot of real estate. Like, I'm competing against people who have been in the business for 20 plus years. And so it's like, when it comes, yes, I'm younger, but when it comes to real estate, I know what I'm talking about. And I've been there. Like, yes, it's only been 6 years, but I've been there. And so I think that is the biggest thing. And if there's one thing that I would say, is those people that are not a good fit or don't mesh well with your team, you have to weed them out, because they will cause more problems in the long run. And then you want your team to all truly like each other. And if you have one person on the team that people just don't really mesh well with, it's not that they're a bad person. It's just they're not your people.
Yeah.
And so you have to get rid of them quickly.
What does your interview process look like?
It's kind of the conversation of saying what they're looking for in a team, to make sure that my team is a fit. A lot of times, like I said, they are people coming to me with, experience that they're friends with an agent on my team. So my team knows what we're looking for. If they're a bad apple, they're not even going to bring them to me. But it's having those conversations of, what are you looking for? Why are you leaving your brokerage? What are you not happy with? I have found that some people, you can't please them. No matter what you do, they're just going to be miserable no matter where they are. I don't want somebody like that on the team. So they do have to be positive. They have to be upbeat. They have to be a team player. Those are all of the things that I'm looking for. I don't care if you do 10 million in production. If you are negative, I don't want you on the team, because I don't want to have that energy in my office every day.
It's not worth it. I think what I've learned is, when initially interviewing, I didn't really know, like, what does the interview process look like, because I had never done it before. So at first I did Zoom meetups, because I was like, this will just save a lot of time. I don't have to drive anywhere. And so I did a lot of Zoom meetings, and I was able to weed out a lot of people quickly, because it was like, I can already tell this is not going to work out. And so then if the Zoom meeting went well, I met up with them in person at a coffee shop. So it was like very casual, and just kind of diving in deeper on like what their goals are, what the team structure looks like, what we can do to provide. And then that was it. It was like, do you want to join or not? And now looking back, even though it's, this is the first year that I've had a team, I feel like I've learned so much already. But
you learn very quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like, no one can prepare you for these things, but I have decided that with bringing on agents, like, I want to do more of a thorough interview process. Like, you're investing so much time and money into these people, and people always just look amazing. You're doing a Zoom call, an interview, like, of course they're going to be upbeat and positive, and then our coffee meetup. And so I was just thinking, like, okay, it'd be great to have them come to like a team meeting. It would be great for them to come to a training, like, just thinking of like multiple things. And if they want to be a part of the team, then they're going to want to do these things and show up. So that's one thing that I would do differently moving forward.
One thing I'll say is, like, with my team being so big, we've considered, like, as our team, we're at 15. So we've got a lot of people. And so it's like, I don't know that the next step for us is like a mini brokerage. I don't know that yet. And because we are such a tight knit group, that I don't know if that's next. But what I do know is the girls, they do get nervous anytime we bring somebody on, because they're like, is it going to work? And so we have talked about like having a couple of us take them to lunch, just make sure that we all mesh well, that they like them, that, because you can tell when you get kind of a group. Somebody can wow me, but it's when they get in a group setting, how do they interact? Are they the person that kind of takes over the conversation? Are they somebody that more just chimes in? Or are they somebody that's going to be super laid back and reserved and just kind of keep to themselves? And so you can't have the people that are always interrupting or you're going to have some of those people that they just talk a lot. And that's me. Like, I'm in a meeting, I'm never the quiet one. And I have a couple other girls like that. Well, it's like, we can't have 15 of us in a room. Like, that would be a nightmare. So we have talked about doing something like that, just to kind of make it so the girls feel a little bit more comfortable when we add somebody to the team. I just meet them at a coffee shop typically. And then if I think it's a good fit, then I'll offer to bring them into the office and show them around. But I think that is the biggest thing. And doing a trial period with Keller Williams, we do the KPA. That's a requirement to join the team, because I want to look at that and see, are they really a good match for an agent? Because that's not always the case. So maybe like one of my showing agents, she is the perfect showing agent. Like, that's what is on her KPA, and she thrives in that. Well, if she would have came to me and wanted to be a single agent, she would likely have not been successful. So that's one thing that I utilize that I think helps kind of get their personality. They hate taking it. Every time they take it, they call me and they're like, I don't know what just happened. But it always seems to be accurate.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have somebody who helps you with all these agents?
Yes. So that is one of my other staff. I don't think of her as staff. She's one of my best friends, but she does all of my new agent training, which that's another thing to think about when you have new agents joining the team, if you are in production. So with me having 20 deals going at a time, I have 20 clients that are under contract that I'm communicating with, along with my upcoming listings, as well as my buyers that are not under contract. So that's a lot. So with having new agents, we have about 6 on the team at a time. She trains them completely. So they come to me if there is questions that she doesn't know or she can't get to the phone, but she's training them from the beginning to the end. And then when they hit their first 10 transactions, they phase out of our new agent training. So I have somebody that is specifically training them, onboarding them, helping with that process, because I could not do it alone.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And you're not paying her. She's making a percentage of the transactions.
Correct. Yep. So she makes a percentage of each transaction that my new agents close. And what's phenomenal is my girls that are on our team, they're outproducing our coaching team at our entire office.
Wow.
That has 40 people and we have 6.
Wow.
So all of my new agents are producing, and it's because they have that one-on-one help where we're attending buyer consultations, we're attending listing appointments. They're not just getting thrown in, where if you're in just a generic coaching program, that's hard to have that support where you feel confident. So I'm going to these listing appointments and I'm leading them, so they know how it should go. And that's usually happens from 1 to 3. Then I will join them for like 4 and 5, and then they're on their own after 5. But again, that's going to depend on the type of person, because they might not be comfortable after 5. And so if that's the case, then we're still joining them. But at some point, it's like they've got to start doing it on their own.
One thing that I really do like about Keller Williams is the training that I know that they do have. And so with these agents, like, I'm not having to teach how to do a CMA, write a contract, all the basics of it, right? So it's nice that I can be like, here, go to these core classes, which I think are really, really beneficial. And then for myself, I have McCall, my director of operations, that she helps them with the entire onboarding process and answering questions and all of those things. Like, I don't think I know I wouldn't have been able to do it without her. So I feel like if you're wanting to bring on more than one person, then I think, really getting with somebody to have them help you is important, right? Because it's just, it's so much work. What does your onboarding process look like? So when someone signs up with you, what are their next steps?
We give them a 30, 60, 90. So their first 90 days, here's what we expect for them to do. Then we also will give them like a launching your career. So I went back and did the basics of, okay, when I got started, what did it look like? What did my day look like? That's even like time blocking. Like it's giving them, this is actually the time block schedule that I had when I started. It's giving, like, we send out letters. So when they send out their letters announcing that they're in real estate, okay, here are the activities that you need to do to get ready, creating your Facebook page, your Instagram page. Like we're lining everything out for them. So then once they have that done within their 90 days, now we are focused in on even the lead generation from the beginning. But that first 90 days is making sure you have everything set up. You're creating your database, you're creating those systems from the beginning. And so then they're just hitting the ground running once they have all of that stuff set up. So they're setting themselves up for success. And then that lead generation piece starts from the very beginning.
That's awesome. We had created, or yeah, you guys know, because it's in the course, the onboarding checklist. And then we're going over the contract with them. And then I meet with them and go over the business planning aspect of it. Like there are 3 main lead generation sources that they want to focus on. And then we come up with actionable items for those and kind of like goal setting. And we talk a lot about time blocking and like setting their calendar moving forward, because it's like a lot of times they come, or they've said like, and even other agents have said like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to be focusing on. And so I feel like this initial meeting really like they leave feeling like, okay, now I know what I need to be doing day in and day out. And then I have them like watch, there's like a couple of videos that I've done that I think are really important. And that's what it's been really cool too, is like, if someone asks me a question about something, there's been multiple videos that I have created so that the next time someone asks me that, I can be like, here, watch this video, like going over the contract. And I did do a video on like a CMA and new construction, what that process looks like and stuff like that. So I thought that was really helpful. Are you getting the agents leads?
We do. So we have office leads that come in, so they get those occasionally. And then I have I do Ojo, which my agents get. It's off of realtor.com. Okay. So they are like live transfer phone calls. Some of my girls have really good success with them and others don't. We did realtor.com leads for the team a while back, but that was before we had a CRM. So we're looking at starting that back up. And on my leads, I pay for them. So it kind of helps them just get into production. We do make them have a couple of deals before we will give them a lead, because we all know if you're providing leads, like they're harder to close a lot of times than somebody that already knows, likes, and trusts you. So we do require that they have some production under their belt before we start handing off those leads. And then those are split at a 50-50. So they track them themselves, they come into the CRM, and so we are going to start doing those again to see if they work. Okay. Because last time we did not have great success. One of my agents closed 4, and we did it for 6 months. She closed 4, and she's like, Bobbie, it's all about speed to lead. Like if you can pick up your phone and call them, you can get a deal done. But I was finding that the system that we were doing just didn't work, but we also didn't have automatic follow-up. So with those leads, I know those are not closing within 30 days. They're more, I think the average is about 90 days out. So I went back through the report, and 20 of those leads that I had gotten in out of like the 200 closed. So I'm like, that's a pretty good percentage. We only closed 4 of those. So I'm like, now having the CRM, I think we would have more success. So I do think that if somebody's on a team, that's a lot of times what they're looking for is some of those leads. So I'm not going to spoon feed every single deal to my agents, because I want them to know how to operate a business. And when they can't pay for leads, if they ever got to that point, they could still have a successful business. And so that's something that I think it's kind of nice supplemental, like, because in our market, we're seeing that it's getting a little bit tougher. So for those agents, I think it's wise to give them leads because there's some teams that they will give them a ton of leads. So I don't want to lose my team because they're not producing. So I can provide some of those leads to help with their business. But then also I'm like, you should be able to operate a $7 million business without ever paying for a single lead. Really, I think you could probably do 10 in our market. So I'm saying $10 million in production with only doing your database, and then these leads will kind of just help supplement. Because I do think people are on a team a lot of times. They won't always tell you that they're on the team for leads, but I think that a lot of times that ends up being what they're looking for.
When you're meeting with them, do you set the expectation like, I'm going to give you leads, or I'm going to give you a certain amount of leads, or we're on a round robin?
No, I never set that expectation up. I set them up of, I'm going to teach you how to build your business off of your database, because that's going to be the most profitable. That's going to be the easiest. So I will never guarantee a number of leads. Even for the agents I have on my team, I've got a couple of girls that are about 8 million in production, a couple that are around 3 to 5. And even them, I'm like, the one that closed the 4 deals was a brand new agent. She just hustled, and she picked up the phone and she called them, and she had good follow-up. So even then I'm like, I will never guarantee I'm going to give you so many leads per year. It's going to be dependent upon the work that they're putting in.
Yeah. So you're still in production. Are you giving them leads that are like friends of yours that want to buy a house?
No, okay. I'm still in production. So the leads that come through to me, I still service. Since I operate my own business outside of having a team. So eventually I will get to the point where I'm ready to start another business, or I'm ready for the next venture, and we're building this business to where I could walk away and my business will still function.
Yeah. Well, you're about to have a baby.
Yes. So I'm having a baby in August, and I'll probably be writing contracts while I'm in labor. The last 2 I did. So this one, I'm sure it won't be any different, but that's something like this business is what fuels me. Like I love working. And so for me, I'm not one that will take much time off, but if I want to, I have that option to. My girls are like, Bobbie, could you just like maybe take off a week? And so now I can, if I want to. And we're gearing up to, I think that's always the ultimate goal, is like, you can really travel and your business can sustain itself. But you have to have the right people in place. Yeah.
I've been traveling so much this year, and it's like, oh, I'm not even worried. Like I am giving the agents all my buyers so that I can focus on listings. I was talking to an agent this morning, and she had said to me that she was concerned about, handing off these leads to her sphere, because everyone that's reaching out to me to buy, like they're my sphere or someone off Instagram that saw me. So she's like, I'm worried about being like, oh, hey, here's my buyer's agent. But in my experience, I think because I keep showing up and talking about the team, people are reaching out to me saying, will you or someone on your team help us? And it's like, okay, I'm already setting the expectation.
You're changing the narrative.
So now I'm like, yes, great. Aubrey's going to be reaching out to you. And I'm still like, especially because like, it's still so new. So for me, I am doing the intro to Aubrey. I am still involved and chiming in and seeing how they're doing and stuff. So it's not like I just fall off the face of the earth, right? I'm still trying to make it personal and as if I'm still involved, but yet I'm really not. And I'm so excited because Aubrey, she's almost to her 90 days and she has her first closing today. So I was like, oh, and it's like a $700,000 house. So it's just like really exciting. And she just got someone under contract today. So it's going really, really good with her.
I think that's the biggest thing running a team is I've had the same exact conversation with a top producer in my office. And she was like, all of my people want to work with me. They only want to work with me. And I'm like, I don't mean to be rude. But they don't.
I think it's a limiting belief.
It is. It's like my people only want me and I'm going to do the best job. And my thought with that is I said, okay, look at your social media, look at your marketing. I said, when I pull up your marketing, who do I see? I only see you. So when somebody reaches out to you, who are they expecting? They're expecting you. If you send a showing agent to the house, they're going to be like, where is my agent? But for me, I've done the same thing. I've changed the narrative. So now if you go and look at my recent reviews, every single review will talk about my team. When I have people reaching out, they're asking, hey, can you or anyone on your team help? So it's really that it's no different than the lead generation that you put out. If you put something out on social media about buyers, what are you going to get? You're going to get buyers. If you change the narrative to its listings, you're going to get listings. It's no different than the team. And so that is exactly right. If you set the expectation up of I am not a one-man show, your clients are going to understand that and expect that.
Yeah. No, totally. I had a meeting with Aubrey yesterday, and I was like, she actually suggested, she was like, we need to do more videos with like the team so that people can really see more that, you have all this help, you have all these people. So, I think that's a really good idea, showing up, talking about it. And I even was nervous when I had a showing assistant. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be the one showing. And I was like, these people do not care. They're like, whoever can get me in the fastest, that's what they care about. Right. So I was always just like blown away by that. And then now getting into the having a buyer's agent, like they do not care. So, let's see. Okay, I already asked you a lot of these questions. So what are some of your personal goals for the team today and like moving forward?
So my goal for the team is I want them to hit their sales numbers. I mean, that's the biggest thing is I love watching my agents succeed. So I'm doing everything that I can to help them get to that point. So we used to meet only on Fridays. Now we're meeting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday is lead generation. Wednesday is going to be systems. So we're working on, okay, like we just did like a utility checklist. Like, okay, here are the utility companies. We came up with a cute PDF that we send out. It's just making our client experience cohesive and just systematic. So Wednesdays we work on that. And then Fridays we have team meeting and new agent training. So we are meeting more often. Now Monday and Wednesday are optional. And then Friday is mandatory. So that's something that to make sure that my agents are succeeding, they need to be in the office. And so I know that there are a lot of people that are like, I can work from home. Most of the agents on my team have children. Like my kids are screaming downstairs in the basement while my husband tries to wrangle them. I know that's hard to be home. You have so many distractions. So it's nice to be able to meet in the morning and just start your day off right and with your work, because the day can just get away from you. So we're meeting pretty frequently, just because it makes it so, one, we love seeing each other, but two, we're able to be accountable to our goals.
What do you provide to the team? Like headshots, branding photos, marketing, signs, lock boxes, any of those?
So our office has signs that we use. We are recently, my husband just told me this morning, he's like, please get your own signs. As I pull out like this old school sign that is like, they're not even our updated ones from our office. And he goes, you're going to put that in a yard. And I'm like, I don't have an option. The listing is going live today. So I'm going to get signs for the team. We do team photos, and that includes headshots at least once a year. Usually it's twice. We have content days monthly that we will get together and shoot content. So it's kind of up fresh and updated. Then we do all of the marketing. They have access to my buyer console. We provide folders for their listing presentations. We have team pins just to kind of make it look professional. Even if you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, you still have a fantastic marketing presence when you show up to the house, because that kind of just makes you feel a little bit more confident. So we provide all of that to the team. And then obviously we have our office space that they do not pay for. They do pay an office bill, but it's to our brokerage, not to me. And so that is a free service that we offer. And then they also, with our CRM, which I know somebody asked, the CRM that I'm using is Chime. I've had it for a couple of months, and so far I'm loving it. there's a lot to it. I will eventually hire somebody that they work on the technical stuff because that's just not my forte.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn there and I just don't have the time to learn it. So we at least have it. We have the basics down. We have our drip campaign set up and the smart plans. So when leads come into it, it looks good, it's on brand. And then that also includes our website. So the girls have their own CRM and then they also have their own website. So like mine is BobbieLaneHomes.com. And then theirs is their first name at BobbieLaneHomes.com. So they all have a website that they can use. It's branded to them. Any leads that come in come through there. And we've been super impressed with it.
Awesome. You should write in the chat your Instagram handle so everyone can follow you. And in case anyone takes a photo, they can tag you.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And yes, as a team leader, you can see what they're doing on Chime, which I really like. So if I assign a lead, I have a lead come in, I assign it to somebody, I can see if they're working it. I can see if they've called or if their client is opening the emails. It's so intuitive that like, it'll say like this buyer's opened this property 3 times, you should reach out. Or this is a property that matches with what they've been searching. There's been a few things that I don't absolutely love on it. Like I've had a couple people say, hey, like the search criteria, it's not only showing me those things. And so those are a few like hiccups that we've had that were not quite figured out yet. Cause like our MLS, I can say, I only want Mays School District and I'll only send them those. This CRM, I feel like the search isn't as precise, but it looks a million times better and it's definitely on brand.
I've been using Follow Up Boss and loving it, and it's really affordable.
Yeah, our CRM is kind of expensive. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's like $600 to $800 a month
for everybody, though.
Yeah, but that's for everybody.
Yeah,
and it does have one thing that's phenomenal with it is it does have a texting feature that you can pay for. So like on your drip campaigns, you're able to send out those texts, which I think is the key, is not just email. You have to be able to
text, call.
Instagram, and I mean, even if you're calling or texting them for a year, it's worth it because those leads can turn into, and it's brand awareness for me. I've only been in the business for 6 years. I'm not going anywhere. And so I want people to recognize my name. I don't live in a huge town. So it's just kind of that follow-up where I will literally run into people at the store and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I see you online all the time. And I've never met them before, or I know their daughter who went to high school with me, or just random things like that it's just creating that brand awareness.
Yeah, the last time we went out to dinner here, someone sent us a bottle of champagne and I had never met her before. And like her and her husband sent it over and I was like, oh my God, that's so neat. She's like, and Instagram, sorry.
Yeah, that's all I'll say. Like dial in on the social media. Like I have agents that are like, I don't really, social media is not my thing. And I'm like, girl, you're missing it. You're missing the mark because social media is not going anywhere. And yes, you can pay for advertisements, but for the most part, it can be free. So, I think that it's crazy. It used to be Facebook. I got tons of leads from Facebook, tons of referrals from Facebook. And recently it switched where I see the people my age, they're more on Instagram. So that's where I'm getting leads. And other agents are, hey, I know someone moving to Wichita and I'm getting those leads. So it's just, if you utilize it, business will come.
Yeah. And being consistent with it. But it's the same thing with anything that you decide to do, the calls, the open houses, events, whatever, following up, you have to be consistent with it. Okay, one last question, and then we'll go to the chat and answer any questions anyone has. But do you offer any sales incentives to the agents?
No, but we do a challenge of the week.
Okay, cool.
So each week we do a challenge and I'm going to give them something that is pampering them. So we'll do spa gift cards, or we'll do like real estate t-shirts, or it's just fun things that they're going to be able to win. So we do that every single week, and it's based on, I give them like this week, the challenge is to do a pop by. I try to do ones that are free because of course I do have newer agents that they're not producing a ton. So I try to do free activities and lead generation. But this one, I'm like, I want you to pop by and see anybody. It can be a business, it could be a past client, it could be a current client, it could be a family, a friend, anything. I want you to pop by and give them your business card and a little something.
How do they
it
show
doesn't have to be extravagant.
Couldn't they just be like, oh, I did it? And how would you know?
Well, and they say that too. And I'm like, if you're gonna lie to me about lead generation, we have a bigger problem than that. So like last week it was posting a video. And awesome. I only had one agent do it. And I'm like, well, guys, that was easy. Like, we have our winner. And then we had the conversation of, these are lead generation activities that are going to get you business. So if you are not killing your goal, because we're almost to mid-year, if you're not on track for your goal, why are you not doing these things? Because you're not too busy. Like, what is the reason that you're not doing it? And so we only had one person do it. Well, me and one other that did it last week. And so we had the conversation of why. Like, it was posting a video. I'm like, you can literally hop on.
What did they say when you asked why?
So it's a time. And I'm like, guys, it's time is always an excuse. It's you make time for what's important to you. And if you're not taking the time to lead generate in your business, your 60 to 90 days is going to be slow, because what will happen, I see this a lot with new agents, is they'll get deals under contract, but then they forget to lead generate. And then their last closing happens and they're like, well, crap, I have nothing going. And it's like, well, yeah, because you were working on the activities for that transaction that really weren't making you money.
Yeah.
And now you have no business for the next couple months because you haven't been lead generating.
You are such a good agent, like team leader. I just feel like you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing. And it's all about just making it a priority and really like time blocking and, staying focused on the task and not multitasking all the time. I think that's something for me that's been really helpful. Okay. So I'd love to know more about what type of value you bring to the agents on your team. I think you already went over all that. And then we said the splits. What CRM are you using? We talked about that. So as the team leader, can you log in and see what everyone's doing? Okay, so my MLS searches, the agents are doing them through the MLS, not through Follow Up Boss. I'm not sure if that's an option. So I guess that's not something good about it, but I'm really loving it because you can see what the other agents are doing on there as well. I can see all my deals, all the tasks that you can, like follow up was like one of the hardest things for me. And I would forget about people. Like even now I look back at tasks and I'm like, who is that? Okay, now I can
the
see.
Same thing.
Yeah. Like, okay,
wait,
my notes. Yeah,
you're not the only one.
I love the task option of it. And it's just very user-friendly, where I had Boomtown before. And I mean, it's super nice, fancy, expensive, has all the things I feel like, but it was just too overwhelming for me. So I'm really liking it so far. And I think it's, we pay per user, and I want to say it's like $70 per user, but I could be wrong. Does anyone on your team, I know I said last question, but one more. Does anyone do cold calls? Like any circle prospecting, FISBOs?
So I have one that we have one that door knocks.
Oh, nice.
Actually, we have a couple that will door knock. I've got one that she cold calls her database all the time. She does not care. She will call and ask for the business. Who do you know that I need to know? And I love it. And she's getting she just got a portfolio that we're selling of investment properties, and it's 6 stores, I think, and it was
nice.
$700,000 for the package. And she's learning a lot. And so that was from picking up the phone. And so we don't have any that cold call for expireds or circle prospecting around listings. But I've talked to the team and I'm like, those are ways that I'm focusing in on social media, because every time I'm posting, I'm getting a return from that. But if you are not there yet, these
Yeah.
are some activities that you can do. Another thing, like I think that we all get stuck in, okay, this is working for her, so it's got to work for me.
Right.
And I think that yes, it can, but if you're not wanting to do social media like I do, which is I'm like, there are a million other ways. I have girls that do open houses, and that's where they get all of their business. I just held an open house 2 weekends ago, and I got $500,000 in production in 2 hours. 2 hours. I literally wrote an offer on the house, went under contract, and I sold their listing.
Nice.
And it was like, that was 2 hours of work.
Yeah.
And so my team, I tell them all the time, if we have an active listing, get out there and hold it open every single Sunday, even Saturday if you want to. So that is something that I think that people get stuck on. What does it look like? And it's like, research it and figure out, okay, what does cold calling look like? What are some scripts that I could use? Because I tell them, I don't do that. I haven't done that.
Yeah.
I hadn't held an open house in 3 years. And the reason why I did is because the agent that had the listing, she was out of town. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I mean, it's been 3 years, but now I'm going to be more successful at it because I'm confident. And sure enough, my husband's like, why don't you do that every Sunday? I'm like, yeah, no joke, because you'd have the kids. But it's just like, there are so many lead generation activities. And that's one thing as a team lead, I think you can provide value in, is giving them ideas of, okay, here's what I'm doing, but here are other ways that you can be successful.
And I also told them, I was like, if there's something that you are wanting to dabble in, like, I'm happy to help you with the research. I was like, I network with realtors all over the country. I will get us on a Zoom call with one of them who's successful in that. One of the girls wanted to do calls. So I set everything up for her, bought her the dialer, got her the numbers. Like, I was like, anything that you want to do, it doesn't have to be what I'm doing. I was like, let's learn it, because they all work if you work. And I think that's the beauty of this business, is like, you get to pick what you want to do. So if it's like, if you absolutely dread social media and you're like, I cannot do it, I'm not going to be consistent. Well, let's figure out what it is that you won't mind doing, because you're going to have to do it every single day. Right. So I feel like this call was just super beneficial. It was helpful for me anyway. So hopefully everyone else loved it. And then I'll have the replay too on in the course. But is there anything else you want to add?
So I will add. So we talked on splits for leads, but I wanted to say, don't be afraid to buck the system. I originally went off the normal model of what every Keller Williams team was supposed to do, and it didn't work. It didn't work for me and my people. And so I think you have to be willing to adapt and change the commission structure if you need to. I do not make a ton of money off my agents, but I make enough for it to make sense, and it's enough for it to be beneficial to them. So I think that's one of my biggest takeaways from when I've talked to people who are stayed on the team. I've talked to people who have left other teams. A lot of it boils down to pay. And so as a team leader, you have to make sure that it makes sense for them to be on your team. So my agents, they cap. So for Keller Williams, if you're not used to Keller Williams, we have a capping system. So when you hit a certain dollar in production, you get 100% of your commission. As a team lead, now, of course, leads they always pay in on if they have a lead that they're working. But if it is their own business, I will let them cap. And that, I think, makes the biggest difference, because they have the advantage of being on a team, and yet they still get the best of both worlds. So I'm providing them all this value, but yet they're still able to make really good money doing it. And if you ask people who leave teams, a lot of times they're going to say, I was just paying in way too much money. Yeah.
And you weren't giving the value. I think, like, they're not getting anything. I'm doing everything myself, blah, blah, blah.
Yep. And so like you'll keep new agents, because new agents, they're soaking up the knowledge, but it's like, okay, at what point, when they get a certain level of production, at some point, it's like, you can only teach them so much. Now we're providing value in events and marketing and all of that. But if they're paying in $50,000 to you every year for a single agent, they're going to be like, well, that doesn't make sense because now I know how to do it. Now I can go do it on my own.
Mhm.
So that's something to think about is I structure my new agents differently and then my seasoned agents are differently. So my new agents don't cap until deal 10. Then they go to a seasoned agent split. Once they're at a seasoned agent, then they are on the capping structure. And you will ask, like people say, well, why are they on the team? They're like, well, we just love working with Bobbie, but the money also makes sense. So why not?
Yeah. I would much rather, if someone was on the team producing, crushing it, I would much rather take a smaller percentage than to lose them.
Yes.
You know, especially if they're doing such a great job with like my clients.
Mhm.
I would hate to lose them. So I have made it very open. I'm always like, please come talk to me. And like moving forward, once they, you know, start doing really well, I definitely am going to want to reiterate, because it's like, I just would hate to lose somebody, which I know is going to happen, but yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. This was amazing. I appreciate it. And yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.